Hey again, here I am back. You know what? I'm going to quit speaking on the future because I'm just not getting it right. I'm getting back in the sync. Now that I'm overriding everything that's been going on, it's opening the floodgates. So now the topic is going to be limiting beliefs. You got to watch them, you got to get rid of them. Um, earlier, the last video, I was saying, get back into the base work. Go back to your journal, go back into breaking down your belief systems because you got to get rid of those limiting beliefs, right? That's where I was stuck in this situation. I was stuck in the limiting belief that I was not good enough, and it was tearing me up. I had to get that out of there because I know better, because I see the evidence. When I'm with the right people, and it's great because I had the experience Sunday that I did. I know these people are not enablers. They're not an echo chamber because they are able to correct me. That's the crowd I need to be around. That's what got me, where I am is getting rid of those limiting beliefs. See, that's what ruined that last relationship. My ex was riddled with those limiting beliefs, and that's not to speak bad of them. It's the example. They believed that life had to be lived a certain way. Success, it looked a certain way, and you could not achieve it any other way. And that's one of those limiting beliefs. And again, another limiting belief is, this modern mantra is don't listen to a man. He's just trying to control you. No, I see things that you don't. I'm not trying to control you. You tried to control me. I tried to open your eyes. And again, you wanted to cling to those limiting beliefs. You didn't want to listen. You wanted to tune it out. And that's what's going to happen. Got to be more careful, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Do not, that's how, everybody talks. Last video, I mentioned the Matrix. One of the reasons that simulation theory is so popular, okay, a simulation, right, can be simply explained as a controlled environment. That's a simulation. Yes, we are living in a simulation. Whether you want to think it's, we're all hooked up and computer generated like in the movie, I'm not sure about that one. But yes, we are definitely living in a simulation because this is a very controlled environment. And one of the things they use for control is those limiting beliefs that generate fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Faith is falling all into Him. And this is the flip. I was getting stuck on those limiting beliefs, and it was pulling me away from the faith end of it. And as soon as I figured that out, I'm getting better at this. It's showing signs. I'm getting quicker at seeing the signs. Hey, turn back. You're getting off course. That's why I know, no matter how much people want to project things onto me, project all you want. Because I know who I am. That's why you need to live authentically. That's why you need to live with integrity. You need to know who you are. And again, get rid of those limiting beliefs. Because guess what? If you believe you'll never amount to nothing, you will never amount to nothing. If you let people stick that nonsense in your head, it'll stick you right where you're at. So you got to yank that stuff out. Quit letting the world put its voice in your ear. Again, that was the problem there. Every time there was an issue, every time she got upset at me, she had to go talk to the girl, the group chat or whatever, had to report back instead of trusting me. That's what broke everything. The fact that she refused to trust me in any way is what shattered my trust in her. And that is, again, limiting beliefs. Nothing is impossible for God. That could be repaired if it needed to be. But that is not something I needed. That was something I wanted. And that was the lesson. And that was the other thing, that limiting belief. I wanted that because I was in the stuck in that. This is what I think love looks like. I was treated absolutely horribly. I know better. I know what love looks like. I have a connection with God. That was not love. Not even close. I know the real thing. That's why I'm here. I'm here to show people the truth of that and to share that kind of love. And as many people come and try and take me down a peg and keep me from doing that, sorry about your luck. I do not give up. This is my passion. This is my purpose. I cannot give it up. That is where my discipline comes from. That is where my strength lies. Everybody wants to be out here in the world, playing games, treating it like a Monopoly board. It's not a game. You got to quit treating it like one. There's not rules. That's the limiting beliefs. Let me say that again. There are no rules, only limiting beliefs. Once you understand that, once that sinks in, you'll unlock a whole new level. I don't have to move the way everybody else moves. There's too many people on that path. It's crowded. I'm not going to make it there. That's not the way I'm built, and I understand that. I've let too many people limit me into trying to operate like they want to operate. Hey, that works for you. Congratulations. That's not what works for me. I'm living what works for me now. And again, the evidence, things are getting better. Things are finally starting to go my way. I'm seeing the changes in my life. And that's because I got rid of those limiting beliefs. And I opened my eyes to appreciate them. You got to have that attitude of gratitude. If you are always looking at the negative, guess what? That's your limiting belief. You're going to believe the negative. That's where you're going to get stuck. That's where I was stuck. And then I finally let it, got hit over the head enough times. Hey, God, Jesus, you're there. Hand up. Give me a yank. Get me out of here. It was that surrender. I kept fighting. I kept trying to do it in conflict. There has to be alignment. This is what I was talking about the other day. This is why you get in the Word. The more you understand it, the more you come into alignment with what it's telling you. And the more you come into alignment with what it's telling you, the more you come into alignment with God's will for you, and the more your life comes into alignment with you. And I know a lot of people, roll their eyes at some of the lingo and the whole spiritual aspect, again, that's your limiting belief. If you don't want to pay attention, that's your free will. You can stay stuck there. Me, I'm not staying stuck. I've been stuck enough. I've been stuck most of my life, and that was by choice. And that's the other thing I had to recognize. Hyper accountability is your superpower that will make change. Even if it's not your fault, accept responsibility for it. You know? Because there was always something you could have done, or you can do in the future to be better than the past. Don't dwell on what you didn't do in the past. Dwell on what you can do in the future. You gotta let go of that crap, all those anchors, all those weights. They will keep you down and sink you to the floor. You gotta let go of all that. Where there is a will, there is a way. And my will right now is to live my best life. And you got to keep it simple. Because again, those limiting beliefs, they creep in to your action statement. And then it limits you. That's why people are getting in their own way. You are blocking your own shot by believing untruths that somebody else put in your head. This is why you have to dissect your belief system. This is why you have to go back every once in a while and double check, because sometimes we miss things the first time around. I've done it I don't know how many times, and I know now I'm getting ready. I have to do it again. Because I let too much crap sink in since the last time I did it. The last time I did it was at, the beginning when the depression first started to get real bad. Those times are over. I'm done. I refuse to go back to that. This world can throw everything it's got at me. I do not care. I am not giving in, and I am not letting hate in my heart. I do not hate anybody. I can be upset. I can be disappointed. But I cannot hate. I cannot tie myself to things that do not help me grow. And if you want your life to improve, you need to take that same attitude. Again, repetition. If it doesn't help me grow, glow, or flow, it's a no. If it doesn't evolve me, it doesn't involve me. It's been made, very apparent that certain, and I'm not just getting stuck on I'm talking about certain friendships too, certain relationships. They wanted me to stay stuck. And when I said no, when I refused to stay stuck, that's when a lot of them started to step away. So it's not a loss. The only loss is dead weight. And I don't need that crap anymore. I am going forward and upward. And I've learned the lessons now. I am not tying myself back. But I'm not closing off either. That's the mistake that a lot of people make. You think you got to be closed off. No. You just have to use that discernment. That's, again, why we have to hone these skills. Because once you get that discernment, you know how much to give to who and who's going to reciprocate. But you got to believe in that balance. Because if they help you grow, then you got to return the favor. Because if you're not, then you're going to lose that source. That's the reality. That's how this works. I am so tired of people telling me what my own life is. Especially people that don't even care to examine it enough to really know what it is. I know what it is because I am living it. I am present in it every moment that I can be. Again, that's what was tearing me up, because I was anchoring myself in the past. Guess what? Past is done. Nothing can be done to change it. The future can change. The future can be anything me and God work together to will it to be. But it's got to have that alignment. That's the thing you got to keep in mind. All right. Who knows? Maybe I'll have another one in a little bit. I seem to have quite a few epiphanies this morning, so I don't know. We'll see how it comes out. But until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next one.